1, 2. Good evening, everybody. Welcome out. Let me turn this up just a little. Kim is at home tonight, dealing with helping with the granddaughter's back to school night. So he turned it over to us tonight. Kind of scary thought. Okay. I'll give him that one, seeing how he pawned this off on me last minute. As you can see, we got a few upcoming events. August 16th, we'll be out at Lake Lowell over on the west side. Having our POTA barbecue and potluck. Potapalooza the 27th. That's what we will be setting up at least 2 sites, possibly a third, to do the round robin with the POTA so everybody can get their contacts for it. October 18th, we'll be at Eagle Island State Park doing a POTA. That is also Jamboree on the Air for the scouting units around. So we may have scouts coming and going at that same time, trying to get youth interested in it. November is going to be a Build It event. Still trying to iron out details there. December 13th, Christmas party at Golden Corral. We'll start at 4 because they change over from lunch to dinner right around 4. So if you come in before 4, you get the lunch prices, and then they change over to the dinner menu. And then Winter Field Day in January, we'll be back out at Curtis Park in Caldwell, where we were last year. As you can see, our upcoming events there of what our different topics we'll be covering. If there's something you'd like to see or would be willing to teach, please reach out to Kim, Brian, or myself, and we'd gladly have some fresh blood up here presenting. Or if you got a, like I said, topic or want to teach something else, that's just what we've got. Nothing's really set in stone. I'm going to turn time over to Elaine for a few minutes, and then we'll have a discussion about repeaters.
So we'll hit 2 months of no meetings besides the Christmas party in December. As soon as Steve gets my PowerPoint up, we'll get going. Okay, how many of you know what this call sign is? W1AW. Have you heard of it before? Okay. It is ARRL's call sign. This summer, I actually got to go to Connecticut for a week for a Teachers Institute. Go ahead and go to the next slide. This is the front, kind of the building itself. There's maybe a little better picture. That's our instructor, Tommy. That's kind of as we were all coming in the first morning, getting ready for our classes. And you can see they don't take very good care of their building, either that or it's the weather in Connecticut. Here's a bunch of us in our class. We had electronics. We built a little AM/FM radio. We watched because we hadn't, this classroom was brand new. We were the first class to use it, and there was lots of issues. Lots of things that they didn't know they needed that we had to order, and we didn't get the parts. So our whole week was kind of a weird wash. We did go out and listen to a satellite. We didn't get to talk to it, but we did listen to a satellite go by. Built aero antennas, and like I said, a lot of our week was a wash, so we didn't get to do much, but it was, I met some very amazing teachers from around the United States. This lady with the red hair right here, she actually works with NASA quite often, and all sorts of stuff with them, and she was my partner on one of our projects, and it was just amazing. All right, next slide, please. How many of you ever have a QSO card? They have a whole room that is just set up for QSO cards, and they have nations. And this was just some of it. I couldn't get it all in one picture. Some unique QSO cards that they have up there, boxes that they ship them out to other nations. It was pretty cool looking to see kind of what all that they do to try to make sure you get your QSO cards. Next. This is the testing room. This one here is kind of like a main room. This one, they can close the doors and protect it like a Faraday cage. If you, and I didn't know this, if you're a member of ARRL and you have a radio problem, you can actually ship it to them and they'll try to fix it for you for free. I didn't know that. So, the week after we left, oh, go ahead. The week after we left, they actually were doing a swap meet, but they had some really cool old radio equipment that I took pictures of that they were going to try to sell. This was just a quarter of what they had. Like, they had a full room just of all this old radio equipment that they were going to try to sell off. Antennas, anyone? This is, and not to do it justice, this is actually one W1AW here, this little tiny building. There's antennas here. You've got your antennas here. You got ladder lines, and the picture doesn't do it. And this one is on top of ARRL. We had hawks on the air. We had a hawk that stayed with us for about an hour one day, and it still flew off. It didn't get fried. But I've never seen so many antennas in one place than I did while I was there.
I thought that was a picture of your house.
Yeah, I was going to say pretty close. I think they've got a few more, and they're a little bit taller than our antennas. Go ahead, next slide. This is W1AW. This was I think, I hate to say it, the radios and everything were cool, but this up here is cool. This is one screen. It's got earthquakes, tornadoes, satellites, the moon, the sun, all on one screen. And it changes all the time. And then it lets you know what bands are opening and what bands are closing. I thought, and it's very expensive. And I almost got to walk away with one, but because I teach virtual, they kept it and told me as soon as I teach a brick and mortar, they'll get me one. I was super sad. This is Joe. Joe is W1AW. He is the guy behind the building. If you talk to anybody, he is the guy that runs it. There's radios everywhere. Anytime you want to go a different band, he just comes here, opens up the door, and just changes till we could do the different bands while we were in there. Super cool guy. All right, 3, 2, 1, contact. If you guys know my husband, you know I never get to do FT8 at home because he does it all the time. While I was there, I decided to do some FT8. I don't know how many of you recognize KW2E. I made contact down to Georgia with Rob, and we've got KI0E here. I actually made contact with Idaho from W1AW. The other part that kind of blew everybody away is the second day I went in there, we had a 6-meter opening on. This was 20 meters. When 6 meters opened, every other band shut down at W1AW. It was such a strong signal that it cut everything else, and nobody could get on the radios except for me. And I made another contact with Rob. I couldn't get in with Kim, but I was able to make another contact with Rob down in Georgia. Next. Okay, well, you got to have a little bit of fun while you're there. So the first night we were there, a bunch of us went down to Springfield, Massachusetts, to the Springfield Armory. We weren't sure we were going to make it because our instructor, he is a CW guy. We weren't. We made contacts with each other. But then our gal in the green here, her name was Vicky. She decided to try to jury rig her antenna. She did it. We made POTA contacts on 20 meters with the Netherlands and Sweden while we were there, voice. The third night we were there, we went to Fort Trumbull in Connecticut, and then we went to Avery Point. This is Avery Point here. It was cool. The buildings, like back then, they built like a castle. So this is one of like the security offices, but it looks just like a castle. From the park, you can see 2 lighthouses. And if you see these lights in the back, that's actually New York Harbor that we were looking at from Connecticut. So we got to have some fun, got to meet some amazing teachers, got to learn some more electrical stuff. You know, Kim's amazing at that stuff. I'm not. So for me, it was a good reminder of things to do and how to help. But it was also good to go out and have some fun too. And Fort Trumbull, unfortunately, we did not get to activate, but I was on the ARRL video, one of the main guys from ARRL went with us. He was actually our chauffeur that night and put me live on the ARRL Facebook page, tried to do the POTA. Great time. I'm hoping next year to go back and either do balloons or satellites now that I've done the beginning training. And hopefully next year I'll have more information to share on something new. Wait. Oh, darn it. This slide was not supposed to be in here. Yes, kids, I finally saw a moose. You can all stop harassing me now. Thanks to Steve and Kim and the crew. I'm in my 50s and I'd never seen a moose in the wild before in my whole life. Running net control up at the ultra marathon, Kim comes yelling in, "Come on, there's a moose." And I'm used to these guys harassing me all the time because they always see moose and I'm like, yeah, whatever. And they're like, "No, get up now, there's a moose." I'm jumping over the table for net control in there, falling out of the trailer, dropping my phone, and I'm looking around camp and I'm like, yeah, you guys are just giving me crap, there's no moose. And then all of a sudden they started yelling at me to get in the pickup. And Steve drove me up the hill and over the beaver dam where I actually got to see my first moose.
So tonight we're going to talk about repeaters a little bit. This is a little more in depth. Some of you may remember when we used to be back at Bob's. We had this, I gave a similar presentation. This one's a little more in depth. As I've learned more, I know some of you, this is going to be a yawn fest. Please input information. I know we got a lot of new hams also, so we're trying to mix a little bit of both. Kind of where my background information comes from, anatomy repeater there, repeater terminology, and then the couple of ARRL books there. What are our types of repeaters? Half duplex or a parrot repeater, something I have actually never, I've seen them, but I've never used, never actually seen one in the field, but I know they are semi-common for people setting up for themselves with just basically it's a voice recorder. You talk into it, turns around, talks it out. Full duplex is what we typically think of when a repeater, whether it be in a tactical suitcase or up on top of the hill. And then the crossband, many of our radios will do crossband in and out. We'll kind of talk about the benefits, pros and cons of them here in a sec. And it did not come across right. Components in a simple repeater: receiver, transceiver, receiver, transmitter, controller, antenna, and the duplexer. Controller, and many commercial repeaters are all in one box. This little box up here, they're two separate radios with I believe that's a repeater magic or an idiomatic in it on this controller. I've seen them use all-star nodes as controllers, and ARRL makes several different types. This here is actually a look inside a Yaesu Session Fusion DR1X. I believe the inside of the two ARCs is the same. Your receiver, transmitter, and then the control box. To my understanding, those are pretty much FTM 400s that are just don't have the head on them. Got a little bit different firmware on them to make them usable in the receiver and the repeater setup. Common Motorola there that I know there's quite a few sites out there that use. The one duplexers, probably the most, to me, the most mystical part of the repeater that I don't understand the most. I understand what it does, how it does it's a whole black magic. I know it's resonance and stuff in it. A couple of different types you'll see: band pass, band reject, and a hybrid. Band pass filters, you can see here, or receive or transmit, allows it through, rejects everything out to the side. These are all Sinclairs that I'm using as examples because they make their charts fairly easy to get. So they make good examples to use here. A band reject, from what I've seen, more the smaller compact mobile or more the band reject style. See where it dips down, rejects. On the other side, it allows it through. Disadvantage of the band rejects is they can be very good at the space where they're at, but they can allow a lot of noise of close bands, other equipment, like on a noisy site, etc. come in. They're only blocking out what's on the opposite side, whether it be transceivers or transmit. Hybrid, kind of see that comes in, it's rejecting at the band and then allowing on the other band into the receiver, so it's getting more of the best of both worlds. Rejects more of the noise around, less insertion loss. Any questions? Linked repeaters. Why would we link a repeater? Some will link them to get more activity, to reach into other areas. Interoperability. You may be linking a repeater from Twin Falls to Boise, Mountain Home, if we're trying to deal with an emergency event between the areas. Linking methods are a couple of different styles. The local style is basically we've got multiple frequencies at one site. We want to be able to get in either 2 meters, 70 centimeter, 20 meter, or 220, etc., all to be able to hear the same thing. RF linking for different sites. And then also the internet linking or data connection linking. Use ARRL, All-Star. There's several different methods that are being used there. Some common terms we'll kind of go through. Courtesy tones, Kerchunking, PL tones are continuous tone. I forget what the C is, squelch control or something. I can't remember what CTCSS is. PL is sorry. No, PL tone is actually a trademark name by Motorola. It's CTCSS is the norm. DTMF, offset, sensitivity, and selectivity. Courtesy tones, many of you will hear on a repeater once you let go of the mic. You'll wait a few seconds and you'll hear beep, and then it turns off. It's pretty much the repeater letting you know that it is about to turn off its transmitter, and once it does that, it's going to reset the timeout timer. It lets you know the other person has finished broadcasting, and you're good to continue the other end of the conversation back. Oop. My slide moved around. Practice briefly keying the microphone, hitting the chunking, push to talk. Used to make sure you're getting into the repeater. That goes back to the test question. Which of the following is required to make the on-air test transmission? Identifying the station. Just driving down the road, chunking to see if you can get through. 1, it's annoying to everybody. 2, if you're not IDing, you're not following the rules. And yes, Brian's back there laughing because I know we did a fair bit of it at Stanhope, trying to ID every few minutes as we were going, That is true, other than net control. It can be useful to see if you're getting in, getting back out of the repeater, but just make sure you're IDing regularly, explaining what you're doing. Continuous controlled squelch system. Okay. It's a subaudible tone, usually in the 0 to under 300 hertz range that your the radio and repeater use to identify a signal, besides just having a large RF signal, used to reduce interference. Cases being like 2 frequencies, 2 repeaters. I know React uses or has the frequency pair for. One in Boise, one in Middleton. There's a little bit of overlap area, but not a lot. Put them on 2 different PL tones, only using one set of frequency pairs, able to spread it out, use it more. Over in eastern Idaho, I know Pocatello and where Stein's from. And Chalice both have a repeater on 14678 that they had to, once they stood the one up in Chalice, they had to go back and change their frequency tone because they were just close enough that some people in the middle were hitting both of them. Prevents AM. It's also used depending on the repeater setup. Sometimes they will set them up so they don't actually broadcast the courtesy tone when they're IDing, so they're meeting requirements. But if your radio is set up to require the transmit tone to key your radio, or the receive, what would be the receive tone on your radio, it's not going to come up with the ID in your ear. It's just going to AM when somebody's talking on them. DTMF, dual tone multi-frequency. Actually quite an interesting one as you start looking at it. Each row and each column has a different frequency, so there's 4 frequencies for the row and 4 frequencies for the column, and that's how they come up with the tone for it. Used quite commonly to issue control commands. There again, when you're doing it, announce who you are, announce what you're doing, issue your control commands to the repeater. Repeater offset is the difference in what the repeater's listening on and transmitting on. They're pretty solid and set with the exception of 6 meter. It kind of varies by where the region you're in. Oh, duplicate slide. Sensitivity. Ability to detect small signals. A repeater can be great and detect all sorts of small signals, but if it can't pick the signal you need out, it's not going to do a whole lot. So you can have a really sensitive system, but if it doesn't have the next one, selectivity, it's not going to do very good. Prime example of this is you take one of your high-end Kenwood, Motorola, ICOM radios up Bogus Basin to the top of the hill, you may actually be able to communicate. You take your bow thing up there, it's going to be overloaded the front end because it does not have the selectivity that the others do to be able to pick out the one frequency and all the noise. Couple of quick tips if you're having trouble getting into the repeaters. Checking the offset and offset direction in the input frequency. If you're only hearing 1/2 the conversation, it may not be on the offset, may not be working. Checking your tone. If you're keying up, identifying, and you're not hearing the repeater turn back to you, chances are you're either on the wrong frequency or the wrong tone. Yep. Use monitor function to check the opposite side. If you're not hearing, hit the monitor, see if it comes back the other side. And you're hearing others come in. Also useful, the monitor function is also useful if you're relaying for a net or something where somebody else may be having a hard time getting in. If you listen on the input side, you can relay to somebody who's not necessarily getting in. Then antenna, transmit power, and SWR. That's all I had. Any questions, comments, thoughts? Okay. Thank you, everybody, for coming. And said next activity is the POTA out at Deer Flat. 16th? Okay. A week from Saturday.